Hey everyone, welcome back to the Ideas and Inspiration podcast. I'm Jit Puru here, your host, and today I'm here with Vjay, who is a financial services director with the Magnavera Group. Vjay leads a team of young financial services professionals, and today I'm here to talk to him about a topic which I feel is really important. It is one of the key components for success, whether in business or in life, but it is something that is not often talked about. Vijay, thank you so much for being here with me today.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
Vijay, you've had quite the journey towards being where you are today. And in one of our prior conversations, you have mentioned to me that one of the key components, in your opinion, which you feel has led you to the success that you have achieved, is the ability to stay calm during turbulent times. Now, this thing about staying calm really got me thinking because, as I mentioned, I feel it's really important, but it's not often talked about. So, how would you say that being calm has truly helped you in your journey?
I think being a financial services professional, I've been in this line for 15 years. Um, when I took into, if you take into account the journey I had prior to becoming a financial services consultant, um, number one, I used to be from SGI, and when you are in a boys' school, all right, you're exposed to so many different types of activities, so on and so forth. So I realized when we went through that path, at that point in time, obviously, with the lack of maturity, I didn't understand what I was doing. Okay, so I used to be very short-tempered. So many things used to trigger me. I used to be really competitive. I used to play soccer quite avidly. And I think along the way, you tend to lose relationships just because of the way you behave. And then one of the few things I started noticing when I went to JC was there were individuals who probably matured slightly faster than us. And there was something about them, that calmness about them kind of got people gravitating towards them. And you will notice this in with regards to your teachers. You also notice this with regards to your peers who are probably sitting in leadership positions. The one thing about them which people constantly gravitated towards them for was their calmness and their pleasant disposition. And I think that was one of the few things which I started noticing at that age.
Okay.
When I went into NTU, I remember I was given the enormous task of actually leading a group of individuals to do an event. And during that event, I still remembered I was in year one actually. I was in year one when everyone, including my seniors, decided that I should be the person leading the entire event. So it's interesting because you have done something. It's year one, year two, year three, year four, and yet this year one who just walked in was the one selected to actually run this entire event. As I looked around at that point in time, one of the few things I noticed was everyone had this fervor about them. They're always waiting to do something. They had this energy about them. But the one thing they had, which they were struggling with, was whenever things did not go their way, the first thing they did was to crumble. And I think that was the one thing which got them gravitating towards me because during that period of time, personal life, we went through a very difficult time at home, all right? And we were already going through our own set of difficulties. And more importantly is when you come to school, it was an escape
Yep.
from the problems you were having at home. And when you're in school, um, the problems you see in front of you weren't as bad as the problems I was seeing at home. And I think that was the reason why I was comfortable in this uncomfortable situation. And I loved it because it kind of got me getting up every morning because I knew everyone kind of needed me. As an individual out there, because if you look at it right now, as a financial services consultant, now director, this 15 years I've been here, one of the few things you realize as a financial consultant is your interaction with the environment, your interaction with people. We do this on a constant basis. Everything keeps changing on a daily basis. Your challenges are faced on a daily basis. And when you go out there, when you get up in the morning, the responsibility to have the fire in your belly lies with you. So I realized when I go out there, there are many people you're going to meet who's probably going through a bad day. So if they're going to go through a bad day, the one thing they're looking for is someone to just be there and be calm with them. And I realized many of my clients enjoy having conversations with me only because I learned how to just remain calm in the worst of situations. And the reason why I became that person was also because of the journey I took prior to becoming a financial services consultant. When I was young, during that time when we were going through a difficult phase, I still remember the only thing you can do is focus on the end goal. Because the problems are not going to solve itself.
Correct.
And I think along the way, my mom taught me quite a number of things. Because I remember she used to teach me this part where, Vijay, because I used to have this issue sleeping.
Okay.
And I think one of the, I always say the most expensive gift you can give yourself right now is a good night's sleep.
Yep.
And I think a lot of them out there, especially when you're going out there and charging forward, a lot of people struggle with sleep. And I used to go through that when I was in uni. And I remember mom used to tell me this. The day you allow your problems to enter your house, it is the day you will lose your house.
Okay.
And I think the most important part is knowing when to deal with your problems. You can't deal with your problems through the night. The night, you are entitled to that sleep, you're entitled to your house, you're entitled to your safe space. And once you understand that, you know where to put your problems.
Okay.
And I realized putting them at your corridor and not dealing with it till the next morning allows you to deal with them with a certain amount of clarity. And I think that was what got me into this space where I realized you need to learn how to stay calm regardless the storm outside.
Yeah.
And it's this theory I have in my head where I always visualize myself standing in the middle of the sea with the waves hitting you. We all know that the waves are not going to be hitting you all the time. Sometimes if you just remain calm, sometimes it's going to be a lot more stronger. The only thing you need to do in a situation like this is to stand your ground, smile at the waves, and just stay calm. Because having the will to remember that this too will subside one day.
Yeah.
And I keep visualizing that whenever I go through any difficulty. And sometimes I even take reference to, when you watch this Tamil movies,
Yep.
and then you see all these heroes who get shot like 10,000 times and yet they're still standing.
Yeah.
It's the same theory. I always say sometimes when I look at them,
it's metaphorical. Right?
yes,
Yeah.
like standing there, you take all the shots and yet you can still fight.
Yep.
Take all the hits and you can still fight. And if you visualize yourself in that space, regardless of whatever the day brings to you, if you know how to just stay calm,
Yep.
as long as it's not brought you down to your knees. Because like they always say, it is not being brought down to your knees that's the problem, but remaining there that's the bigger problem. And as long as you know you can still stand up, that means you still have a chance to fight. And if you keep reminding yourself this, you realize every day is just what it is. And there's something to look forward to the next day. And with that, I used to just walk through every single situation in my life, just visualizing these few things, reminding myself what my mom told me at that point of time. One of the biggest complaints I get with my friends who travel with me is, once you go back, once he hits the bed, this hero will sleep. Immediately.
Okay.
Like no care for the world.
Yeah.
And they always look at me and they struggle to sleep through the night. And yet I'm the hero who will go to bed, within 5 minutes I'm KO.
Yeah.
And to date, I tell you, my biggest prized possession is my sleep. I've enjoyed it, and I always feel like that's the one thing that gets me in my element, allows me to my recovery, and the next day, raring to go, is because of the fact that I've been trained to become this person.
So you mentioned that you weren't always a calm person, right? So you said you were short-tempered. You're pretty much the opposite of calm. So there was this turning point that showed you the power of being calm, the importance of being calm, but you did not become calm overnight, did you? So what did you have to do? How did you train yourself to become a calmer person?
Number one is trying to understand the problem you have at hand. So I remember I used to look at it this way. I walked to school and I realized I got so many things ahead of me. Only thing is, the challenge is to achieve every single thing by the end of the day. Completing all the tasks that's actually in front of you, correct? So one of the few things I used to do is, I realize some people, when they look at the list, get overwhelmed. But they don't write down anything. For them, everything is in their head.
Okay.
So half the battle is actually in your head. It's like literally, if it's floating in your head, right, it starts sending signals throughout your entire body and starts putting you in a state of panic.
Okay.
There got so many things to do. So I came to understand, okay, the day I start writing things down, so I started having this habit of writing things down, and I don't do it in the morning, I actually do it the night before.
Okay.
So when I do it the night before, your mind through the night kind of tells you how to deal with it in the next morning. And when I start doing that, right, so just imagine, you wake up in the morning, you already know what you want to do first thing in the morning, because I have this habit when in the morning when I wake up, the first thing I do is I sit down in silence.
Okay.
And I realize I sit down in silence because I do not know how to meditate. I
Okay.
don't, a lot of people have told me, Vijay, you should learn meditation, so on and so forth. I've tried. And I realized the way I enjoy meditating is when I sit down in silence and I just visualize the entire day I have in front of me.
Okay.
And I go through this in my head. That means, right, I live this day twice
Once in your head and
and
once in
once in
reality.
reality.
Indeed.
And once you go through that, right, no matter what curveball comes your way, you're able to dodge it or manage it because you're always calm, because you know things will go south sometimes. And your mind is already prepared. It's like you already warmed up your muscles,
Yep.
right? So when you play soccer, you do not know when the tackle is coming. But it's only because you've been trained for that situation all the time. You know
Yep.
how to dodge it, or you know how to manage it even if the tackle comes in. Likewise, I go through this entire process where first rule I have in my head is I do not leave my phone on at night,
Okay.
and I do not check my phone the first thing in the morning. These two things puts people in a state of anxiety all the time. So the one thing I don't do is I don't deal with my phone. I do not get sucked into this phone in the morning. First thing I do is I stay calm and I just remain in silence for a while. And then I do my exercises. And then I take my shower and all this stuff and I go through my routine. And I always get out of my house by like 7:15, 7:30. And then by the time I get to office and I sit down on my table, the next thing I do is I take out the list I wrote down the night before and I start looking at the list, and then I'm like, game on.
Okay.
And one of the few lines I remember someone shared with me as a mentor of mine who shared with me once upon a time, told me this: every single day, Vijay, is an adventure. We always love the concept of an adventure, but you have to understand every adventure would have a challenge, and you will also have a low point and a high point. If you're prepared for all these three, that means you're prepared for the day. And if you go through life thinking everything's an adventure, there's always this excitement. You know, I remember I used to share with my team, why is it that, when say today morning, the whole team is going to KL, the bus is leaving at 4:30 a.m. from Great Eastern Building. Everyone gathers at 4 a.m. with the excitement, so on and so forth. And it's not like you slept through the night. You might not even have slept through the night, but you are so excited for the trip that everyone's like raring to go. They get in the bus, they're singing songs. We get to our destination and we're having a good time. So I used to ask myself, why is it that you can't have that day every day? Why is it only when you feel like you're going on a trip? And that's why I started looking at life in a way where if every single day I treat it like an adventure. So what I did was I started every single day, I will insert something in that day for me to look forward to. So imagine how the mind pans out. Regardless of how stressful you are, knowing that you're going to enjoy this moment in the entire day, and your energy level will be kept at the state of high, all right, all the way, because you're looking forward to this activity.
So do you plan it such that this activity that you're looking forward to happens at the end of the day?
You'll be surprised. Sometimes I actually insert it in the middle part of the day, all right, because even after the activity finish, then you go and do your other activities, you still have this high about it. Okay. So for me, the go-to activity in most cases is either I enjoy going to the gym or I go to play golf. All right. There's two things which I enjoy the most. But apart from that, another thing I enjoy about being a financial consultant is I enjoy meeting people. So there's some people you enjoy meeting. So on that day, you look forward to the meetup. And then there are days where you know you have a difficult client, but you still go for the meetup, but you compensate it with someone else who you know is going to perk you up as well.
Okay.
So the beautiful thing is, if you realize you have the power to dictate how your day pans out, you will always remain calm.
I love that. I love that. I think a lot of times we become passengers of our own vehicle. And what you're saying right now is about being in the driver's seat. Yep, you're going to go through ups, you're going to go through downs, you're going to meet some people who are not nice, you're going to go through some unpleasant experiences, but that doesn't mean you cannot plan for the pleasant experiences throughout the day. The other thing that you said just now, which struck me a little bit, was when you said you visualize your day in the morning. When you're sitting in silence, you visualize. So, what are you visualizing? Are you visualizing the good things that is going to happen throughout the day, or are you also visualizing what can go wrong?
So the interesting part is actually focus on what's going to go wrong.
Mm,
Okay. So why do you focus on what's going to go wrong? It's only because that means you're mentally prepared for the worst case scenario. I remember I had a conversation with a friend, and he told me, our government has a team called the Worst Case Planning Committee,
Okay.
apparently, and they plan for the worst of scenarios. And I'm thinking, how depressing a day is it to actually keep planning for this? But he said, the beautiful thing about planning for the worst case scenario, and if it does not happen, it's a good day.
mm,
Correct? So literally playing a trick on the mind, because
Okay.
if you're focusing on everything that can go wrong and nothing goes wrong, that means your day was actually above average.
Okay.
Whereas if you did not think about all this that can go wrong, and you went through, and the first thing that you went for an appointment didn't go your way, what happens? That becomes your defining moment and becomes negative.
So, if you focus only on what can go wrong, would that then also have the possibility to become a self-fulfilling prophecy? Or is there a way for you to balance that out too?
So there's two parts to the whole thing. Number one, after you visualize exactly what can go wrong in every single scenario you're going to be facing the entire day,
Okay.
the next thing you ask yourself is you look up to the sky and tell yourself, every single possibility out there is mine. In this line of work which I'm in a single day, every single thing you want can be achieved. You can achieve anything you want in a day, regardless of where you are. Question is, how much are you willing to invest? And if you know what you're capable of, and you know what's the capacity of your entire system, you know, okay, fine, what is the best possible outcome for today? Simple analogy, when we play golf, okay? So one of the few things you realize about golfers is when they have a bad shot, they become riled up. It, so it's a game that it looks really calm, but
Yep.
yet people get riled up on the golf course only because they get a bad shot. But I enjoy that situation, because the one thing I trained myself to look at is, after a bad shot, the only thing you assess is what's the best possible outcome from that shot.
Okay.
And I remembered, I think I'm blessed. I'm surrounded by really good friends who play really good golf, and I've seen them deal with a bad situation, and it's amazing. The calmness about them, the smile, regardless of whether they ended up in the water, they will have a good laugh, and yet the next shot they're on the green. And I realized, and then here we are in a good position, yet we will probably end up just as good as them on the green. And I realized that's what it takes to actually be good at life.
Yep.
Whatever happens in a day, the only thing you need to look out for is what's the best possible outcome. The glass is always half full.
Okay.
It's exactly how you want to see it. So every single day I tell myself there's definitely a high and there's definitely a low. And the same thing for a year. One of the few things I always ask my team, has there ever been a time in your life, in a year, where you never had a high and a low? Because the truth is, if you look at an individual, all of us would have seen the both in a single year, every year. Never has there been a year where you just went through life and nothing really happened in that year. Every single year had an adventure, had something for you to overcome, had something for you to learn. So one of the few things, when I start off January 1st, I always tell myself, okay, and I write a note to myself telling myself, on to my next adventure, because you have to give up the previous adventure. It's done.
Yep.
You don't hold on to the accolades you achieved last year, because that was done.
Yep.
You don't worry about the pain you endured, because that is also done. Don't worry about the relationships lost, because that's also done. Because they boarded the vehicle with you, but then it's a time for them to get off the vehicle and move on somewhere else. So once you understand that all of us have to keep moving, you realize you don't get stressed over any of this anymore. And the journey is such. Today you might get off my vehicle, but in a few years' time, you might actually get back on that vehicle. And at that point in time, that vehicle might cater for you.
Yep.
And that's what I always look at as in life, like in a year. So when I start off the year, I always tell myself, on to my next adventure. Let's be prepared for the low, let's be prepared for the high. And two things which I always keep in check all the time: emotional management, energy management. Two things which I feel defines anyone who wants to have an amazing year. As long as you keep your emotions in check, you stay
Okay.
calm, even in the highest of moments, you learn how to stay calm, and the lowest of moments, you learn how to stay calm, then it will translate to you keeping your energy level on a high all the time. And when your energy level is high, the interesting thing about the human body is you can see really far. And you can see opportunities. Every single day you wake up, the only thing you see is opportunities.
Yep.
And when you see opportunities, right, that's when you realize that's what life is all about. I can meet this person, it can translate to this, it can evolve to this. And I think when I started off this line of work as a financial consultant, to be honest, many people frowned upon me becoming a financial consultant because you're an engineer and then you think financial consultancy. I think my dad was a bit upset because he probably wanted me to be a police officer. Yeah. And after so many years, the one thing is he goes around telling everyone nowadays that my son is now a director.
Yeah.
We never owned a car throughout my entire life. The first car we acquired, which I think the entire family celebrated, was when I became a financial consultant and we bought our first car. I still remember the whole family went down and then we were celebrating. It was a simple car, but to date, after all the different cars, like right now, at one point up to the age of 26, we never had a car in the family. Now, when I'm 40, we literally have probably 6 cars in the family. But I always remember that first car we acquired. And at that point in time, when I look back, at that point of time, the only thing that allowed us to enjoy the moment is because after going through so much in life, yet we thrived, we survived, and more than anything else, right, we did not antagonize anyone. You do not blame anyone for where you are because every one of us have to go through a challenge. And once you come to that understanding, that's your first mountain you climb. And then beyond that, every single hurdle you need to cross beyond that, you realize it is on you and it's your responsibility to just stay calm and to be able to enjoy that journey that you're going up. It is not in someone's hands to make you enjoy the journey. It's your responsibility to enjoy that journey.
Yeah, and focus on the outcome. That's what you
Yes.
said earlier. I love that portion where you said, focus on the outcome. I think it's so important. It is true. A lot of times we focus on the experience, especially the negative experience,
Right.
and we lose track of the outcome. And we get so caught up, which causes us to be in a tunnel vision without realizing that there's many different ways to still achieve the outcome. So I love that. I love that. When you were talking about the visualization just now, it reminded me of the stories of the samurais as well, because I read this a while back, where how the samurais, before going into battle, they spend the morning visualizing how they are going to die in battle. And they go through this over and over and over again to desensitize themselves from the fear of death. To the point where when they're in battle, death doesn't scare them anymore. And when fear is out of the way, they perform better. Yeah.
And likewise, if you actually look at all the stories which, because I thrive in listening to stories like this, right? And I kind of get some sort of motivation. So Mahabharatam was one of it. In Mahabharatam, I remember Krishna always tell Arjunan, right now you are rattled because you're seeing people dying and all. But let me share with you the possibilities and why this journey has to be taken. And in that entire conversation is how he came up with the Bhagavad Gita. Correct? And with the entire story, if you go through the chapters which I've read, one of the few things that's a common denominator in everything is he always tells everyone, in order for you to see far and to understand the purpose by which you're built for, you need to always remain calm. Because a rattling mind will not be able to see too far. Likewise, you can only see the depth of the water in clear water, but if there's if it's waves and you throw something and there's ripples, it's very difficult to see the bottom of the river, you see. So a clear mind is always going to allow you to see opportunities, because when you see opportunities, it allows you to evolve as an individual because you're learning something. If every single challenge you're blessed with, because a lot of people feel that they are cursed with a challenge, right? I feel I'm blessed with a lot of challenges. If you look at the journey I took as a financial consultant, my ups and downs, every single step to me was a challenge, was a blessing, because it made me who I am today. And I feel the reason why we go through this is because the universe is amazing. It gives you a challenge which you can deal with so that it gets you prepared for a bigger battle that you're going to come for. And you will realize that battles do not stop. So you need to always be prepared that the battles in your life will keep coming all the time. But each battle you overcome is going to show you something beautiful. And apart from that, what did you become after the battle? That's the reason why I enjoy seeing every day for what it is, because I just want to understand. Like, if I put myself in an uncomfortable situation, I enjoy the to watching myself evolve. Like, what do I become? There are times when I was younger, when I joined as a financial consultant, I remember I used to sign up for networking events because I was not very good with networking. So I used to go for the event. So a lot of people probably didn't see me going through this phase of my life because I used to be a loner, and it was just as a financial consultant, very much initial part of your life, you're very much alone because you got to go out there and meet people, so on and so forth. So I remembered I went for a networking event. I went in and I was struggling because I remember I didn't know how to start a conversation. I didn't know what to ask. I thought in my head, I thought they're going to be frowning upon the fact that I'm a financial consultant, so on and so forth. And that's when I asked myself a question, Vijay, if today you're going to make this event amazing for yourself, what must be done? And then I gave myself a goal in my head. I said, how about I just get to know three people
Yep.
and I have a conversation with them? And it doesn't matter whether they do business with you, but at least you got to know three people. With that, I went on a rampage. By the end of the event, I remember I collected almost 60 name cards. And to date, out of the 60, I remember I used a tracking list. Almost 80% of them have already become my clients.
That's amazing.
But the beautiful thing is, if you ask me, right, at that point in time, you will be rattled because in that situation, everyone looks so well put together. And I used to be a newbie. The only thing I know myself is one, best possible outcome. Two, what's the worst that can happen?
Amazing.
Yeah, and with that too, I told myself, let's just try it. And I created a game in my head. I said, for every time you hit one person or get to know one person, it's like literally you getting a gold medal. So I used to have this game in my head running, and I used to make it fun. So I enjoy making things fun in my head all the time, and I see it as a challenge because if you see, because most of us, right, if you see the challenge in life, you get very stuck in it. But in a game, if it's a challenge, you find a way to overcome it, right? Because that's how human mind is designed. We see it as a game, so we don't get too personal with it.
It's like the boss battles.
Yes. So I used to enjoy playing this game called Command and Conquer
Yep.
when I was younger. So I remembered how you used as a when you start off as a soldier, you eventually build your army up and then you eventually conquer. So I told myself that's how you got to do lah, one step at a time and slowly build. And after 15 years in this industry, I ended up as running my group, Magnavera Group lah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Amazing, amazing. I love this. I love that line that you mentioned just now, which was what's the best possible outcome and what can go wrong. It's such an amazing question to ask yourself for every situation. So you have shared extensively about how being calm has helped you in your personal life. As a leader right now, how has being calm really helped you in terms of managing a team? Because managing yourself is already, a big thing. But now when you have a room full of other people, a team of people to manage, how has staying calm helped you?
I think one of the few things as a leader you got to question yourself is number one, why did you take the responsibility? It is not because you were given a title that you became the leader. It's only because everyone wanted to see you there. That's why you become a leader. There's a big difference between being a director and a leader. Not all directors are leaders, and not all leaders are directors right now. And so, one of the few things I learned down this journey of mine is number one, in terms of being chosen, why did my entire team want me to become their director? Was only because they could gravitate towards me. They felt that I was the one who was able to keep them calm in the most difficult of times. Two, he was the only one who could see beyond the horizon. As a role of a leader, you take on the responsibility of managing their fears. You take on the responsibility of managing their goals. You take on the responsibility of managing their future as well, because they have entrusted all this with you. The day you understand that this position you take up is not just a showcase, it's actually a burden you decide to carry on behalf of all of them, is the day you will evolve into what I call leadership. That is level one. And once you get to this point, right? So I visualize this part. We all start off on a canoe. So 4 of us in a canoe paddling. the sea is getting rough and we're all paddling. But the thing is, the only fate they have is that you know where you're going. And with that, I need to always know where I'm going because they are dependent on me. And the only way they are going to remain calm is if I remain calm. So I remember I used to tell myself, fine, nothing to be afraid of. Let's just evolve. And in my head, I always tell myself, once you cross this point, you will get a bigger boat, which can weather a bigger storm. And true enough, as the years went, so this was exactly probably 5 years ago, because 5 years ago is when I started my journey to become a director. 5 years ago, I felt you see all these big ships, big agencies going beside you, and here you are on a canoe. And I always tell them, be prepared because one day we'll be sitting on that ship. So you share that idea with them. That's what you see beyond the horizon. And then you tell them, remember this. We weather this storm. That means it shows that we are not dependent on the boat anymore, but we are dependent on ourselves. And with that, I remember that was the year the entire team cleared. We had 100% MDRT. And that was a phenomenal milestone for us because we had the least amount of resources. With that, we still managed to pull that off. And then eventually we evolved to a point where we ended up with a bigger boat. I felt that came to a point in time where right now we are sitting in a much bigger boat with more resources. We obviously can go a lot more faster. And once you get here, so now the question is what's next? Because once people have hit a certain point in their life where they feel like they've achieved everything, right? They've achieved everything, they get very comfortable. And then the next challenge starts. So I start asking myself as a leader, so what's next? How do I get my people from here to there? And then I sat down. So I remember there were many times where I used to sit by myself, visualizing what I wanted for them. So each of them, I have a picture of what I want for them, each of them, for everyone on my team. Everyone who walks into my team, I have actually a picture of exactly what I want for them. What are the promises I made? What is it that I want to see out of them? Where do I see them going? With that at the back of my head, right, I start drawing. And I remember what I did was I told myself, the first thing is, you're going to come to a point in my life where I'm going to end up, at one point in time I had 5 people, now I got a lot more than 5 people. So that's one. Two, every single one, if you want to bring the lines together, because you can't, in this line of work, you need people with strong personalities. But the problem with strong personalities is they start having a lot of friction. So then why, despite the friction, why do lions still work together? You know, a pride of lions still work together. There must be a reason, right? So I realized in order for you to gain the respect of each other, you need to give them an environment for them to thrive in. So the one thing I focus all my energy in is creating an environment for each individual to thrive in. So I focus on creating a space for them to thrive in. And I told them this, the responsibility to making this place successful is yours. No one's going to step in, no one's going to step on your turf. This entire turf is yours. And with that, I kind of got them excited enough to build their entire empire from there. So each of them working on their own turf. But if you look collectively, you see all of them side by side building up. And what you see is exactly what I saw in Command and Conquer. Everyone was building up their own empire slowly, and the whole place was getting a lot more beautiful. And I realized, like, I told them this, the only way you're going to be able to grow this without the stress, too much of stress and getting sucked into or get overwhelmed with whatever's happening around you, is you need to just remain calm and look at the resources you have at hand. Because just remember this, and I always used to remind them, we used to be in a canoe. Right now, in a ship far bigger than a canoe. That means you have a lot more resources, and because at one point in time we didn't even have an office to work in, you know. And right now we have been given a really comfortable office. Everyone has their space. So I always tell them this: rejoice in what we have right now, knowing where we came from, but do not get too comfortable with where we are right now and forgetting where we should be. And always give them the vision that you need to create a space which is going to make yourself proud. So with that, I always kind of motivate them. So I told them, leadership is very simple. Number one, the day you decide you're willing to carry the responsibilities and burdens of the people around you, step into the ring. Number two, the focus of leadership is very simple, creating an environment where each of them can thrive in. Because this line of work is very different. It's different from other companies where you can create one environment and get people to just work in that environment. Over as a financial consultant, if you want to hire lions, you want to hire people who have strong personalities, you need to give them their turf. And they will only get the respect you will only be able to get their respect if you know how to create their turf for them. So likewise, I focused on creating that environment for them. And now the challenge for me is, when we have gotten to this point, I think the challenge is, how do I get them to not rattle too much? Because even then, I mean, despite the fact that I remain calm, not say all of them are remaining calm, right?
Yeah.
And it's easy to manage one person.
Yeah.
But now I have literally have an entire team of individuals, and I have an entire team of different personalities. So trying to get them to see the best in them, that's one. Two, to get them to understand their potential. So these two things, which is one thing which I try to work on all the time. I really try to work on all the time. And I realize the only way you can see through a person, right, is when you sit in front of them, just remain calm, and eventually they will just let go everything within themselves. And once you're able to dig deep, you'll find their motivation and their Achilles heel, the thing that will break them and the thing that will make them. So staying calm in front of them, right, is the one thing which you will realize is the the. I mean, it's one of the few things that will actually allow you to see the best in people and the worst in people. Once you get these two out of the way, beyond that, yeah.
That's amazing. Before we bring this conversation to a close, right? Just a few rapid fire questions, right? Starting with, who has been your biggest inspiration in life?
Hands down would be my mom lah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Part reason, my mom's a childcare teacher. Actually, mom and dad, because my mom was like the visionary, my dad was like the workhorse. My dad worked as a construction worker when we were born. My mom worked as a childcare teacher. They barely made it with their finances. Yet, right now, they have given us a really comfortable life. They put three of us through university with not much funds in their bank account. They never once, there was never a day where we had no food in the house. But apart from all that, the journey they took, and right now both of them have built an empire, which they actually have a company which is thriving in Abu Dhabi, and it's literally a huge company, because now comfortably they are running a team of almost 40 people over there, and they work with 400 companies over there. So I think they have made it, they have done really well for themselves. And looking at how my mom turned her life around at the age of 52, and given the fact that my dad has seen a heart attack, mom has gone through cancer, and yet they have done so well for themselves, I think the two of them have been my biggest inspiration lah.
Amazing. I take it you do read quite a
Yes.
bit. What would be maybe 3 books you would recommend for, almost everyone to read?
Good question, because I actually forced my entire team to have a book club.
Okay.
So the last book I read, which I still think I would love everyone, I think anyone who does business should read, is Never Split the Difference. It's a really good book. And in that book, one of the few things he also mentions is, when you go in for a conversation, you need to make sure there's a calmness in your voice. And you need to bring out the late night DJ voice. And people would gravitate towards you. It's a beautiful book, and I think that the skill sets he shares in the book is really amazing. The next book I started on was Winning by Design by Magesh.
Okay.
All right, so that's nice, because we just heard from him, and to encapsulate every single thing he said, I felt I needed to read the book. So that's the book we just started on. And the last book is, which I would probably recommend everyone, is Intentional Living by John Maxwell. Yeah, so that book was also one that inspired me to actually live in the present all the time.
Right.
Yeah.
And my final question for you, right? What's next for you?
I think the dream I have right now is, because you see, as a financial consultant, directorship is just one part of the journey. I think I need to create something which I can allow individuals to thrive in. Looking at how big agencies operate and looking at how other agencies operate. Right now, we are in a very interesting space where some things are working, some things are not working, because they have tried it out. So we are in a new space because we are trying to see what can we create such that the people walking into this team, number one, they would want to be a part of this team only because they know the expectations are really high and they're willing to take on the challenge. Two, they're coming into this not because they want to be really good salespeople. I want them to walk in because I want them to really be good people. And so that's my challenge right now, like trying to figure out a system by which I can actually recruit people who would fit that mold. And apart from that, creating an environment, because I think the mainstream way of having environment and a desk sitting like this, so on and so, because I've actually ventured and seen other offices, and I realized you want to get the best out of an individual. And with this remote working and hybrid working, so on and so forth, we're trying to find a balance. Apart from like creating an environment, because I always believe this, if you create an environment where people want to be a part of, everyone will come here. So if I created an office which everyone wants to be working from, that means I kind of got that sorted out. And I feel I want to work towards that, creating an environment where everyone's going to look forward to the working in and seeing the best version of themselves eventually. And probably by the time I hit 55, I want to hand over this entire thing to someone and probably travel a lot more, play a lot more golf. There's two dreams I have, which I feel I'll fulfill within my lifetime. Is I want to adopt a dog shelter and I want to adopt a children's home. And I feel that will be my retirement plan. I want to spend time in these two places with the individuals there, and yeah, because I feel for a kid, you can come back home, your parents are there to take care of you all the time. For kids in a children's home, they come back to an empty space. And I feel I do not want that. I want to be there. I want to be there to take care of them, and I want to rally people to come and join me so that together we can always be there for these kids lah. So with that, that's my next goal in life lah. If that
Awesome.
happens.
Awesome. Vijay, it's really been an amazing, amazing conversation. I've learned so much. You have inspired me. For all those at home who have joined us for this episode of the podcast, I really hope you enjoyed it. And if you did find this interview useful, please, please go and share this with someone who you know who will benefit from it as well. With that, thank you so much for joining us here today. And I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Vijay, once again, thank you so much.
Thank you, thank you, thank you very much.